Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the 3D Studio Max tutorial. This time I will show you how to use touch sensors and on-off sensors to animate a door with a manual handle. And, before we start, make sure you check two things. First of all, please go to the Customize menu there to Unit Setup and check that the system units are set to meters. This is important to have the right scale. And second, you should download and install the 3D Studio Max plugin from the Too-Well site or from the HLRS download site. You can check whether the 3D Studio exporter has been successfully installed by navigating to the Create tab. Here please select the Helpers icon, that's that drawing triangle, and then you should see the cover entry and Romo 97, both of these entries in the drop-down list. If you see both of them, you successfully installed the Covice exporter. Now, let's start off with our dataset. So you can download this example train from the Too-Well site. Here we go. We basically start off the same way as we did last time by removing the ceiling and everything that is in our way by hiding these objects. So here we go. Let's hide these roofs and also this one here. Selection. And I also want to hide the proximity sensors that we used last time. Otherwise they might be in our way. I also open the Scene Explorer if that's not already displayed. It will help us in finding the right objects. So this time we want to animate this left door here. And if you select it, it will highlight over here in the Scene Explorer, and you will also see a group above the node we just selected, and this is the whole door with both the door handle and also the signage on the door. And to make sure that we know we are using the right object, I would recommend to you to actually rename this object. So please go to the Modify tab, only select the group node. You can do this by disabling Select Children, and if you now select this group, only the group and not its children are selected. And here we go, we can now change the name of this group to door left, for example. Here we go. Now we know this is our group, which we are working on this time. Again, to animate it, we first start off by moving the pivot point to a nice location. So you select the Hierarchy tab, and here you select Effect Pivot Only, and I use the Align feature, Alternate A, to align the pivot point, which is over there somewhere within the geometry, to this door. So I select the door, and here in the Align menu, you align the pivot point on the left towards the minimum of the target, which is our door, and then the pivot point moves over to the left lower corner of our door. This is a nice location. Here we go. Now we can nicely animate our door and all the door handle and the rest. So to animate it, we use the auto key feature of the key point animation. So you move your time slider to 50 and then drag your door to the open position. And this gives us the open animation from 0 to 50. And to close it, I select the key point at position 0 and shift drag it over to the position 100. And this also gives me the close animation from 50 to 100. Okay, that was easy. So you should immediately disable the auto key animation. Otherwise, you might accidentally animate something. Now we have an animated door. And again, we want to split up this animation from 0 to 100 in 2 pieces. And we can do this with time sensor helpers. So you go to the Create tab, navigate to Helpers, and then select Vermal 97 from the drop-down list. And here you can see a time sensor. Okay, so we create one time sensor, and I go to the Modify tab to change its name. Currently it's called Time Sensor 001, and I will rename it to Time Sensor Left Open. And the open animation, as we said, is from 0 to 50. So we change the stop time of this time sensor to 50. And we want to make sure that this time sensor animates our door. So you select Pick Objects. And now you have to find the door, which is not that easy. If you hover over the object, you see that it actually selects a mesh object, which is a child of our door and not the object we actually want. So I recommend using the H button, which brings up an object list. And here you can select the objects by name from a list. And currently I disabled a lot of these nodes, so we wouldn't see our door group. So you may have to make sure that all objects are visible in the list. And then you can open the model group, and in this model group you will find our door left group. This is the one we actually want to animate with our time sensor. So just double click this, and here we go. So now we have a time sensor which animates our door. We can make a copy of this one by shift dragging it to the right, and at the same time we can also rename it. So we would call this time sensor left close, and now we have a second one with already the right object, the left door selected. We only have to change the timing, so the close animation is from 50 to 100. And so now we have two time sensors, one for opening the door and one for closing the door. Now let's trigger the open animation when we click the door handle. That's easy. So again, you navigate to the Create tab, to Helpers, select Vermal 97 if it's not already selected, and here you can create a touch sensor. Touch sensor is, like every Vermal helper, a little icon which looks like a hand if you have a close look. So this is a touch sensor, and we can go to the Modify tab and now select a trigger object. The trigger object would be the object we want to click on to activate it. That's our door handle. We use this one. And the action objects, well, we only have one, will be the open door time sensor. So time sensor left open, that's this one, perfect. So whenever we click this door handle, the door will open. Let's try it out. Please remember the basic rule of computer science, save often, save early. So don't forget to save your work from time to time. And then we export it. I will export it to train.wrl. Hit the save button. And yes, I want to replace the existing one. This will pop up the export dialog. Also here you will see that you have installed the correct plugin if you see my name up on the title bar. Make sure you select the file format Vermal97 cover, because this will enable all features that we can use for our VR. And nothing else to change. You can just hit OK this time. This will export the whole data set, except for the roof and the proximity sensors, which we have hidden. So let's try that out. In order to try it out, you can navigate to your folder where you exported the file. This is train.wrl here in the Explorer window, and you can just drag it over to the open cover icon on your desktop. That's this one here. And this will start open cover and load the file. Here we go. Let's enter the train. To do so, I switch to drive mode by pressing the D key, and then I can fly over by using the left mouse button inside the train and towards our door that we animated. Now, if we click on the door handle, our animation, which opens the door, starts. Awesome. This is fine. But now we also want to close the door. So if we click on the door handle again, what happens is that it plays the same animation. It opens the door, and that's not what we want. So let's give this a try. Let's go back to 3D Studio. And now let's see. We can add a second action object to the same touch sensor, but this wouldn't help. It would open and close the door at the same time, so it probably wouldn't move, or it would just open or close, but not as you would expect it. To do it right, you need another helper. So let's go to Create again, to Helpers, Vermal97, and here you see an on-off helper. We need this one. So let's create an on-off helper. If you have a closer look, this looks like a little switch. And if you go to the Modify tab, you see that this sensor has two outputs, an on and an off output. So this allows you to route a trigger to two actions. First, you start one action, and as a second trigger, you start the second action. So what you need to select here for the on object is your open time sensor, and as the off object, you select the close time sensor. That's basically all. And now, instead of using the touch sensor to trigger one of the time sensors directly, we remove this from our action object list and instead add the on-off sensor as the action of our touch sensor. So our touch sensor will now trigger the on-off, and the on-off will first trigger the open, and if you trigger the on-off a second time, it would trigger the close action. Let's give this a try. So we export it. We override our existing train WRL. We don't need to change anything on the export dialog. And now we can switch over to OpenCover. You could either close this window and reopen it. It's quicker if you just click on VRML in the menu and then press the reload button. This will reload the scene, the whole scene. And now we should see the new behavior. Now if I click on the door handle, again the door opens. And if I click on the door handle again, it magically closes. Here we go. Now let's add all the other objects that we are missing and see the final result. To do so, you can simply do a right click, select unhide all, and this should show all of your hidden objects again. We use file export to export this, and now we can reload this again. Now the proximity sensor that we didn't export before actually works. The right door is opening automatically, and the left door opens whenever you click on the door handle, and you can also close it again with the same door handle. Perfect. Let's go inside the car, turn around, and see if it also works on this side. But unfortunately, it doesn't close if I click on the inside door handle. This is a pity. So we would have to add another touch sensor for this side of the door as well. What you could also do is you could combine the two door handles into a single object, and then you only need one touch sensor for both. I will do this real quick. So let's have a look at the door handle. Here we go. Over here you see one door handle. This is mesh number 942, and if we go over to the inside, that's 941. We don't need two different door handles, so the easiest way to do is go over to the Modify tab and use the Attach feature of the Edit Mesh functionality. So I click Attach and then select the object that I want to attach to this one. And here we go. It's now a single object, mesh number 942, and it consists of both sides of the handle. Don't forget to disable the attach mode, otherwise you would add more objects if you click in the scene. So let's unhide everything and export it and give it another try. So we select reload in the Vermal menu, and now let's try it out again. We enter the train. We can open the door by clicking on the outside door handle. Let's turn around and click on the inside part of the door handle, and it works. So this was the touch sensor tutorial. The next one will cover more of the Vermal helpers. See you soon. Bye-bye.